Good day everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, a former Royal Marines Commando from the United Kingdom, and today we're going to be talking about Russia's flawed intelligence. Now, there was an attack in Vinnytsia the other day that kind of demonstrates how their intelligence actually might be flawed. The process as to how they gain and act upon that intelligence may be flawed as well. We've seen a number of different cases within Ukraine, unfortunately, that highlights that fact, okay? And we're going to get into this today. There's a very good article and news clip that I've just came across, guys. So we're going to get into this. This dude, I believe, was ex-British military, and he knows what he's talking about. Let's just get straight into it, troops.
Russia says that the strike was directed at military officials who are meeting in a particular building in this city. Is that likely? Are they trying to cover their tracks? Was their intelligence wrong, perhaps?
It's difficult to say whether their intelligence is wrong.
Right, so to start with, because he's British, he's been polite on that. That to me tells me that that Stuart Ray, his name, is just being polite and is saying that their intelligence was flawed. Trust me on that. I'm British, I know the crack.
Probably never know whether the intelligence is accurate or whether actually just working it as an excuse for justifying the attack. What it does tell me, though, is that their whole intelligence process and subsequent targeting process, there's an irresponsible approach or a flawed approach to how they do that. And from my own experiences, whenever we were planning...
Right, this is the bit where you need to take note about how we would do it, all right? And I think it's a process that I understand. I've went through the mechanics of these processes, so I understand how it works. This guy explains it perfectly, in my opinion. And what he's doing is he's indirectly highlighting that Russia knows probably about this process. Obviously, it's best practice, but they're just not following it. And they're not following it, I believe, for a very, very pertinent reason, which we're going to get in later in the video.
Strategic attacks such as this in my previous career, the intelligence would always be corroborated with other sources. We would never rely on a single source reporting to actually work against an intelligence target. And there'd be so much work then done in the targeting, building up that target profile, the reason behind it, the justification for carrying out that attack.
That's the big thing there that I don't think gets highlighted enough is the justification for it, okay? Now, there only needs to be one anomaly for that whole thing to fall apart, and the intelligence picture would deem it not a suitable target to hit. Now, in Russia, it just seems like they've got information in and they'll act upon it. Collateral damage, they're not bothered about it. Whether or not the intelligence is flawed, they're not bothered about it. How many lives are their own troops going to be lost during this process or this operation? They're not bothered about it. It just seems to me that there's this bullish attitude of let's just get in, let's just try and do what we need to do and then get the hell out of there. And it's there's no real modernized thought pattern to it, and it shows massively. These tactics they wouldn't have been fit in World War II, never mind now.
And the most suitable weapon system that we would use to actually prosecute that target. We would then go on to the whole targeting process, which would eventually lead to the legal guys, the people that are experienced in legal matters, to actually look at it, see if it fits in with the rules of engagement. The most important thing is looking at the potential for collateral damage. If there's any potential...
There's the big one, he mentioned it, collateral damage. They're getting legal guys in, war lawyers and all of this stuff who know exactly what they're talking about to get the green light. Listen, this is what we want to do. This is the background picture. Can you tell me, is this legit? Is this legal? Will we be covered if shit hits the fan? And if the green light isn't there, they won't take part in it. And we've seen that time and time again when on the news we think, why didn't we act upon that? Why didn't we just go ahead with that? Well, now you know a little bit behind the scenes how it works. If there's a slight anomaly with one or two things, then they're just not going to go ahead with it. One of those things that he highlighted there is something that I think needs to be spoken about quite a bit, is the collateral damage. In war, in conflict, in things such as this, we as an onlooker, it's so easy, and I mean it's so easy for us to just go, turn a blind eye to this. collateral damage is absolutely devastating long term for not just the local populace where the operation may be taking place or the conflict may be taking place, but it's so bad for humankind. If we just accept that these things happen as a result of war, then trust me, troops, we are doomed. We are doomed. We'll never ever progress as a humanity. Okay, so that's why it takes good countries such as, and I'm going to say this in my case, Britain, America, France, these areas where the Geneva Conventions are in place for a reason, so that we tick all of these boxes so that people don't get absolutely destroyed in the process innocently. In Russia, they don't seem to follow these rules. It's like they're a modern military with outdated, backdated, what's the word? It's as if we're fighting a modern military that aren't modern in how they act. So when we fought went in Afghanistan, okay, the Afghans were notoriously, they weren't modernized in any way, shape or form. They were flawed in that manner. But there was no excuse for Russia to be the same way, not following conventions, not following the rules, not following the guidelines of war to not just make sure that they do a better job at it, but obviously the collateral damage and all of the other things at war, the grizzy bits are cut out of the equation. They just seemed like a massive contradiction as a military to me.
Potential for collateral damage at all, then we would have to rework it. It looks to me like the Russians are paying lip service to that kind of process. They're getting some form of intelligence which isn't really backed up or corroborated. They're not paying any attention to the collateral damage that could be happening as a result of their attack, and they're just going ahead and conducting those attacks.
Is that a surprise, though? I mean, do we think of Russia as always following the rules to the letter, as it sounds like you did and the British perhaps continue to do?
Well, I can talk for all the NATO countries. We have that strict, rigorous legal process that we have to go through. For the Russians, it seems to be they do seem to have a little bit more responsible. They're very much a kinetic force, very much an offensive force. The actual way that they use their intelligence, to me, it seems a little bit blasé.
Let's also talk about...
He's been so polite in that. I think the term that needs to be used is reckless, very reckless indeed. I think we follow a legal process which not only protects innocent people, it protects those who are perpetrating, unfortunately, the horrific acts of war. Let's not forget, it doesn't matter what side you're on, the good or the bad side, there's both horrific acts need to be completed for the objective to be fulfilled. We don't need to go into too much detail about that, okay? But if we're going to do horrible things and at least follow a set of rules that's going to protect those who don't need to be involved in those horrible things, whereas Russia just drags everyone in. It doesn't matter if you're a kid, a dog, children, groups of women, they're not bothered. They're going to have you. That's the despicable thing about this whole process, I think.
Out the town of Seversk that apparently Russia has seized and captured. Is that a very significant place?
So at the moment, the Russians, it was announced by President Putin, they're on an operational pause after securing the Lysychansk city earlier on in the month, and obviously securing the whole of the Luhansk Oblast. The next logical phase of their campaign would be the move into Donetsk itself, and Seversk is probably one of the key places where they can go to. Now, the Russians are claiming that they have taken Seversk. It's been uncorroborated so far. We haven't got any confirmation of that. What we have been seeing is increased and intense artillery bombardment of Slavansk down to Bakhmut itself and the town of Seversk. The Russians do artillery very, very well. It's one of the things that they pay a lot of attention to doing. It would make sense.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm for the first time I'm hearing a different side of things. It depends on what news articles you're reading or watching, and news outlets will give different information. This is the first time I've seen someone pro-Russian artillery capability giving them props for how good their artillery is. This is the first one. It's only a few days ago we actually had information from one of the videos that they are running out of ammunition. So it just goes to show that, you've got to read between the lines yourself. You've got to do your own research, and you've got to actually put a little bit of effort into finding out what the truth might be. Really, really hard to do in this age, the social media age. I get it, but it just goes to show that this guy, and maybe I've got a bit more faith in him being British and from a former military background. He seems like a very, very smart man. He's an intelligence analyst anyway, so he knows what he's talking about. He's actually saying that the Russian capability is pretty good, and that's one thing they do really, really well, which is surprising me, because that's the first time I've heard anything positive about their artillery capability in all the things I've covered so far. Really interesting that.
Them to actually moving into severe. I think this could be the precursor for a more sustained offensive into the Donetsk Oblast, which is obviously part of the campaign to seize the Donbass region as a whole. It does move towards the E40 highway, which runs down from Slavyansk down to Bakhmut, which is a key highway that they will need to secure. That's going to stop the Ukrainian defenders from having more freedom of movement in that area to move troops around to where they're required, and also to where they need to get the arms, the ammunition, and equipment.
Oh, have I got music playing? I've got Madagascar playing in the background there. I need to turn that bloody Spotify off. An interesting video about... So that attack demonstrates Russia's flawed intelligence. I don't think their intelligence is flawed. I think what's flawed is the methods in which they use their intelligence and the level of compassion in which they utilize that. And what's the word? Trying to look for. I think, like what he said, they're blasé about how they do things. I think they know when collateral damage is going to be high. I think they know when innocents are going to suffer as a result of their actions. But I just think they go with it. I don't think there's any real morality involved. That's the word. I don't think the people who are making these big decisions with the intelligence go, what about those innocent people in that building there? I don't think they're thinking these things. Whereas I would like to think, we would think about, well, actually, you know what? That one or two high target, key targets that we want to take out in that building has actually got 300 innocent people and a children's playground across the road. So guess what? We need to think of a different way to do it other than bombing the shit out of that building. All right. Now that's in street talk, but the polite way of doing it, the intelligent way of doing it, would look far more thorough, and the considerations in place are there to protect people who are just quite simply not involved in this stupid mess. So yeah, that's my take on it anyway, and I don't think Russia has that moral judgment to, make the right decisions in that. They just see a target, they get intelligence in, they don't care about anything else, and they just seem to hit it and hope for the best. And the best outcome for them is just destruction. That's why they're using so many artillery shells, in my humble opinion. But a little bit of a short video today, guys. I want to get into a few things actually about a past video, and I'm going to actually do a video on this. I'll get this up now. Yeah, yesterday we lost about 120 subscribers on the channel. 120 people. Now, in the early days of YouTube, that was a big number for me, a big number. So I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, because 120 people is huge still. And out of respect for smaller aspiring YouTube channels, 120 people can be make or break with you. So I'm not going to say it's an irrelevant number. It isn't. But in the grand scheme of things, in terms of how many subscribers I have got, how many I get on a daily basis, in reality, it isn't really that much now. So with that being said, we lost those subscribers because of a video I did on Star Spangled Banner. About 90%, 99% of the people who were watching that, who were veterans, former military, current serving military, understood exactly where I was coming from with what I was saying. It wasn't to offend anyone. It wasn't to offend anyone. I'll say it one more time. It wasn't to offend anyone. But one thing's for sure, I did not like the video. And I will keep that video up. I did not like the video. For what that video stands for is something I admire, I adore, and I will continue to admire and adore. All right. But the video itself, in terms of the production quality, looking at it from a YouTuber's perspective, I didn't like the video. So all of those people who are giving me shit, saying, how dare you disrespect this, that, and the other, and how dare you turn the video off whilst not listening to the national anthem. Those people, those 120 people, I'm actually glad we have off the channel now, because that type of person is toxic. It's like a toxic relationship with a narcissist where they're going to gaslight you. They're going to say things about you. You better do as I say in order for us to have a healthy relationship. Well, I've got news for you guys. Those 120 people are not welcome back on the channel, because this is a channel where fundamentally I will try and do things with my moral compass aligned in the right way. Anyone who knows me knows I have a great love for America, probably more so than my own country, I may add, but we're not going to get into that. And yeah, those 120 people just wanted an argument, just wanted to talk shit. Then I'm truly glad that you unsubscribed, because I don't need toxic people on the channel. And if another 120 people left as a result of that, then so be it. That video is staying up. I'm going to stay true to myself. I didn't like the video. It's got nothing to do with disrespecting the national anthem or anything. I have a deep respect for the United States, specifically the military, and I've got a little bet. I bet you those 120 people have never served a day in their life in the military. So yeah, I'm glad those Karens and those snowflakes are gone. And yeah, I just want to be true to myself as well, because what's the point in doing this venture? This is my job at the end of the day. If I'm just going to start doing what people want me to do, then this channel, imagine if I did what those 120 people did. What about the other 250,000 people? I'm not going to work for that. I'm going to work for the masses and not for the little amounts of people on the channel. And thankfully, the masses support me. So yeah, I just wanted to address that, guys. But thanks for watching the video. If you've made it this far, comment in the comments part, letting me know that you're still here, so I can gauge how many people are still watching to the end. But other than that, thank you very much. And I might get another video out today, actually. So stay tuned for that one. Peace.